All right, so here's my story on how I overcame my porn addiction, or corn addiction as people are calling it. Maybe because it's like not recommended by YouTube. Anyways, it started off as, of course, you all know, magazines, then high-speed internet addiction, or high-speed internet made it so you could just search, click on multiple scenes at a time. And for that, the brain just doesn't, like, it thinks it's procreating with all these potential opportunities. The brain is dumb, but it's pretty smart. So once high-speed internet porn came, that's when the addiction kind of escalated. And you could search all these 10 out of 10, whatever scene you wanted to see, you could search that, and it messed with my head every time, but it was an addiction. It was that novelty. It was that like seeking that produced all this dopamine. With every click, a dopamine surge, then a crash, then a surge, then a crash. And I think at the height of my addiction, I was relapsing probably every day after school. And I was still playing sports, but I felt numb. I felt empty. And it was like, it affected my relationships. I was shy. I was unable to talk to members of the opposite sex, females, girls. Never been in a relationship. And then once I learned about NoFap, or not even NoFap, but just like porn addiction, how it alters the mind and how it really is an addiction. And like, I knew it at first. I knew how it made me feel, but I just couldn't stop it, which is what an addiction was. And I tried stopping it. Couldn't even go a day. And I'm like, damn, maybe it is an addiction. And I just kept trying. And I'd go a week and I'd feel awesome. Every day that I would spend off of it, I would feel good. But then I'd be sucked in, whether it was boredom, but these triggers, I'd get sucked in through loneliness, boredom, me not having the confidence in myself, like the self-esteem would drop. And with that, I'd search up that stuff. I'd try to escape it. I'd try to escape negative feelings. I'd try to escape any feelings. And the way I got to 800 some days without PMO has been a journey. And it took me a long time. I found out about NoFap. Originally, it wasn't even about the semen retention, it was about quitting porn. Because it just messed with my head. I always said semen retention is for the body, as porn addiction, or overcoming porn addiction, was for the mind. And like brain fog and mental clarity, and just affecting my self-esteem. Because watching two people having sex on a screen is messed up. It might be normalized in society, they might keep pushing it through all these movies and billboards and advertisements, but we know how it makes us feel. Like, we're the watcher of two people having sex. And they're actors, right? They're putting on an act for the viewer. And every time I watched, every time I finished, my self-esteem would drop, my confidence would drop, my energy about myself would drop. And I think others could sense it. I mean, I could sense it. When I was around people, I couldn't look people in the eye, because they say eyes are a gateway to the soul, right? And now I'm actively staring in people's eyes and conversating with them, and just feel good about myself, and don't have this regret and shame, which I've always said is the two lowest emotions anyone can feel. And it was a long journey to get to 800 80 some days, which is over 2 years without watching porn. And there's so much more I'm trying to overcome, but just the fact of quitting porn has been a huge weight lifted off my shoulder. Yes, semen retention, I can talk about that later, but this is porn addiction. And it affected my life. It affected how I saw myself. It affected how I saw myself through other people. And I just didn't want to be that guy. So every time I'd go this long streak without watching, I felt good. Then I'd relapse and I'd feel bad. But with every relapse, I just kept trying over and over and over again. Here's how I overcame it. I just did it, right? I kept getting on long streaks, and the longer I stayed off porn on a neurological level, neuroscience kind of level, that associated wiring to porn got weaker and weaker and weaker. And all it takes is just spending a long time without it. That's the bottom line. It's like creating a habit. The longer you do it, the more ingrained it gets in your system until you stop it. It's a continuous practice. And I mean, yes, I'm having lustful thoughts and all that, but watching porn, it's been that long that the connection signal is so weak, the neural network associated with it is so weak that I really don't think twice on it. I don't think twice about going to it. Even on stressful days, even on difficult days, boredom days, that's just not what I go to. So the bottom line is, it takes long streaks. It takes not binging. It takes getting right back up. It just takes spending a long time away from it. And if we keep relapsing, if we keep going back to it, if we keep watching it through every time we're bored or a triggering material comes up, we are reinforcing it in our brain. And every time we reinforce it, it gets tougher to overcome. And every time we stay off of it, it gets weaker. So it's like this constant battle, right? Every time we're staying off of it, we're growing. And it is continuously growing. But then we go back. It's not like we lose our progress. I'm just saying, porn addiction, I'm so grateful I overcame. And to go 800 some days, almost 3 years. Almost 3 years has been amazing for my mental clarity, for just my physical well-being, through everything. Everything's connected, right? Of course, I'm still working on other stuff that I'm trying to overcome, but porn addiction was one of them. So, it's the harsh truth is just do it. We could watch all these videos on how to overcome porn addiction through positive habits, cold showers, working out. All of it helps. It does. Having a why, having a strong reason. But we got to be okay with relapsing. We got to be okay with failure. And knowing this is a long journey. At least for me it was. I mean, if you can learn your lesson from like the first relapse and never go back, that's amazing. And I wish people did, but it destroyed my life. It didn't destroy my life, but it numbed my life to the point where I could not enjoy life as good. So I'm partly making this video kind of as a clickbait, kind of to attract more viewers onto my channel, more self-development growth. But yeah, so to quit porn, yes, positive habits help. And also, right, wherever your focus goes, energy flows. So if we're always thinking of porn, if we're always thinking of a scene, if we're always thinking of a trigger, and we give power to that energy, that trigger, give energy to it, we're more likely to relapse. The best thing to do is like if we relapse, get right back up. Don't even think twice about it. Keep thinking of what we want to achieve rather than what we're trying to stay away from. And over time, it just gets less and less. The grasp to go back gets less and less. So, yeah. That's my porn addiction. And if you really, really, really want to overcome it, you will. And I can't tell you how. An expert can't tell you how. You just have to do it. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a long journey. And patience is something a lot of people don't have in this life. Looking at the long term and having an undeniable will that I will eventually overcome it. And just knowing deep down. And that's hard when you don't have the confidence, when you don't have anything to look back on that has made you confident, to know that I can overcome this someday. I might not be overcoming it now. I might be barely able to get 7 days without watching that stuff now, but I will overcome it because it is not serving me. It is not who I want to be. It's like people with ADHD or people that identify themselves as something, they strongly identify with it. Like, I am a porn addict, or I have ADHD. And it's like, instead of saying, okay, I have a porn addiction, but it's not who I am. I can overcome this. I can be better than my past self. It's bigger than porn too. It's like I can be a better person, and just focusing on who you want to be rather than who you don't want to be. So hope you all enjoy this video, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow.